I'm going to remove everything. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Inside the Horseshoe. I am Matt. We're back doing our podcast because the NFL season is starting next week, and we're going to be talking to Cam Newton story that broke earlier today, some of our roster cut surprises that we noticed, and then we're going to predict the standings in the NFL. Joining me today is going to be Papa Jacob. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing good. And then also joining us today is Jonathan Peck. Jonathan, how are you doing?
Very good. Very good. Can't believe
Awesome,
sports
awesome.
season is back. See it again. I can't wait to personally get back in the stadiums right here, watch some games, and just can't wait to watch the season unfolded.
Nice. And how you doing, Jordan? Hope you're doing great today. So I do want to get into the Cam Newton stuff first because obviously New England, they decided to go with Mac Jones as their starting quarterback. And because of that, they decided to release Cam Newton, a surprise, I think, to a lot of people. So I'm going to go around the table and get your guys' thoughts. Jacob, what are your thoughts about that?
I mean, yeah, it was definitely unexpected. It's also kind of crazy how he went from being an MVP to not being able to do anything, having 10 touchdowns last year. But you definitely always expected more from him. I mean, the only thing I can think of that makes sense of why it happened is if they knew that Mac Jones was going to be the starter. Is like the Buffalo Bills last year said the reason they didn't go for Cam Newton was because Josh Allen was the guy and they didn't want that controversy. So maybe avoiding that controversy, but it was definitely surprising.
Definitely. And then I'm going to go to Jonathan. Jonathan, what are your thoughts on this whole situation?
Him not getting star job, not surprised to be honest with you. And pretty much Jones stayed in the camp, but pretty much impressed Pat's coaching staff and along with the players around him. You get at some of the Pat's players that were more comfortable with Jones on center, just sort of like more of the plays and more get to know it, and more command the offense for a second. And I felt surprised Cam got cut. I was a little bit more surprised, plus the 1-year deal along with it. So I thought maybe just keep around, maybe as a backup. And I kind of echo what Jacob said. It's kind of crazy. Like 6 years ago, he was the league MVP back in 2015. And let's talk about stars in the league. And it's kind of sad to see a player like that years later just not lost sort of his arm talent. Mobility is still there. It just his arm strength is screwed, basically. Like he was just not the same player. Tales of injuries, some stuff going around. It wasn't not sort of the same Cam Newton we know back like 6 years ago. Like I felt like it's kind of sad way he had to get cut like that. But I just kind of said we just kind of lost a player that maybe at first even before the 2020 season made sort of career resurgence around the Pats. But I just felt like he just doesn't have very much that sort of direction that he sort of used to. Even in the early age of his early 30s, though. That's just surprising.
Definitely. And this actually is going to lead to my next question about where should Cam Newton go. Jordan says the Colts should not get Cam Newton, and I agree. We should not go after Cam Newton, but I'll let any of you guys go next. Where do you guys think Cam Newton's going to end up going? I got to grab some food real quick. I'll be back, and I'll let you guys kind of get into it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Cam to either Denver or Houston has been very popular. One team that I think could sign him probably week 3, week 4 would be the Panthers. They just picked up Sam Darnold, but there's no telling how confident Sam Darnold is, how good of a quarterback he's actually going to be. And so I definitely think the Panthers could be a surprise. Welcome back Cam Newton kind of team.
I feel like if they want to keep Newton, they should have keep him with the new coaching staff. Even the ownership with David Tepper, they would have keep Cam Newton by now. So I don't see the Panthers like bring him back, even with different coaching staff and new regime around that time for the Panthers. So I don't kind of see that. I think I should go. It depends on. I mean, just brought the other part of it. It might be sort of a little bit else in the room. Sort of there, if he's very vaccinated, and along with some of the teams were allowed to do it, if he's still not vaccinated. Let's be honest. Like he missed majority of some of the Pats camp was doing a little close contact along with it. So it's just before I kind of answer that question. It kind of depends. Like maybe he just like getting back, or people were willing to do that. That's sort of the thing they need to get on that question first. Though, will you agree on that?
Yeah, and I mean that's definitely a big question mark too. If you're a team, and I just said the Panthers because again, Sam Darnold was trash with the Jets. The Jets are trash in and of themselves. So it could just be, hey, he's not the guy we thought he could be. But like if you're a team, and I'm just use the Panthers as an example. Hey, we need a quarterback. We have these three people that we're looking at. Cam happens to be on the list. One or two of them are vaccinated. Cam is still unvaccinated. Maybe that does bite him a little bit.
Yeah,
you never know with the situation of the world today.
Yeah, that's sort of part along with that. Let's go back to the original question. I think maybe. I don't think it might be a bit of an odd choice, but let's just say in case of a scenario happens, which I don't think is going to happen, for the record, but maybe slightly the Bengals. I know it's a bit of outside the box choice, but let's be honest, name the Bengals' current backup right now.
No.
Yeah. Exactly.
Sorry, I was grabbing my tacos.
You're right.
Yeah, you're okay. You're cool. Exactly.
Yeah.
But you can't name anyone.
Is it Ryan Finley?
It was Ryan Finley, but he's no longer on that team.
Okay. Shows how much I pay attention to the Bengals.
Yeah.
Matt, name the Bengals backup quarterback.
Besides Ryan Finley, because
I
it's
have
on
no
the team.
clue.
Exactly.
Yeah, I have no clue at all. It could be Colin Kaepernick for all I know. So real quick while I was gone, who did you guys mention for Cam Newton as far as destinations?
Yep. So we mentioned Houston, Denver as the normal, and then I threw out Carolina, and Jonathan threw out Cincinnati.
All right. So I kind of feel like Houston would be a good spot as well. I feel like that might be his best chance to actually earn a starting spot, even though they already have Tyrod Taylor and they might be set on Tyrod. The one team I've seen a lot of people mention, and I kind of like the idea of it, would be the Cowboys as like a backup. I think he could be a pretty decent fit there behind Dak. And then if something bad happened again with Dak, which hopefully doesn't happen, then Cam Newton could probably be plugged in and fit that role similarly, or they could adjust the offense a little bit. He could do a lot of the short passes that Dak normally does anyway. So, I mean, that could potentially work. Jordan suggests, or he says, what about Cam to the Giants if they release Mike Glennon? I could see the Giants as a potential option too, because, look, I don't think Daniel Jones is the guy. I thought he was going to potentially be, but last year he definitely didn't show me that he could be that guy. So maybe Cam Newton could go there and maybe even win that spot. But I don't know. That is another option, even if they keep Mike Glennon.
And I'm sure if he goes to the Giants, he can actually finish an 80-yard run.
Yeah, true. Yeah, he won't collapse the ground like another quarterback has in the past. Yeah, that's something we don't have to worry about either. But no, I definitely wanted to bring up Cam Newton being released. I thought that was a pretty big story. So we have like Houston, Carolina, Denver, The Giants, Dallas, Cincinnati are all potential options, is what we're thinking. Let us know in the comments if you're watching this after the stream, or if you hop in at some point. Let us know where you think Cam could potentially go to. But speaking of that, I now want to go to some of the other roster cuts that have been happening in the NFL. Just some that have really kind of stuck out to you guys. I'll go to Jonathan first on this one. Have there been any roster cuts that you've noticed today that kind of surprised you?
It depends. It's not legit significant ones. I could see them, but let's go back to Dallas for a second. Maybe their backups would be interesting because partially I kind of watched a few episodes of Hard Knocks, and maybe it was Ben DiNucci, I guess. Like sort of got this over Garrett Gilbert of the AAF. Fun fact. And it's not kind of cuts are sort of stand out that much. I'll even one note at least. So that's kind of the one I can keep thinking of.
Okay. What about you, Jacob?
Hey, I have a couple. It's no secret I'm an Eagles fan. So hearing that they released both Travis Fulgham and John Hightower, little surprising, especially after Fulgham had really a pretty good season this year, came out of nowhere. So it's a little sad to see him go. But hey, maybe this is the year our wide receivers stay healthy for more than 3 games. And then 2 others, Rashard Perryman, receiver for the Lions. Lions don't really have that great of a receiving core, so hearing him go is a little surprising. And then also Carl Joseph, the Raiders safety. He's always been one of my more favorite safeties to watch. I thought he's done a decent job, but apparently the Raiders didn't think so.
Right. So for me, I have a few. Oh wait, sorry, what was that, Jonathan?
I said twice because he would have been his second stint because before that he went to Cleveland before he went to the Raiders though. Second.
Yeah, true. But no, I got a few guys I want to bring up. One, and it was a roster cut, but it was more because the player wanted to be cut. John Brown from the Raiders, obviously from Buffalo the year prior. I thought he was a pretty solid receiver. He was somebody I was definitely interested in the Colts bringing in because I thought, not as like a number 1 guy, but, somebody that could come in, kind of play that role, role player type of role for the receivers. I thought he could have been that guy. So he gets released. So maybe Detroit goes after him because they do need some receivers. And he's a good receiver. Maybe Detroit, now with TY being out, maybe Indy takes a shot. I don't think they're going to, but that's another option for John Brown as well. And then the Bears, they cut cornerback Desmond Trufant, which really surprised me. That was a guy I thought that that I thought the Bears would have kept because their cornerbacks aren't the greatest because they got rid of Fuller. So that definitely took a big step down. So I thought they would have kept him. They let him go. I know he wasn't with the team a whole lot because he was with his family. And he, of course, got released. So he's out there. He's a solid corner. That's somebody I think a team that might be in need of a corner could go after and add to their team because he's a pretty decent corner. He's not like incredible, but you can bring him in, and I think he can do good things. But he was another guy that got released. And then I have to mention a guy from Indy. Very, very sad he got cut. Isaiah Kafuzi, linebacker. He was undrafted. Went to BYU. My dogs are upset too. They're freaking out upstairs right now. They're upset Isaiah got cut. They're yelling, "Why, Chris Ballard? Why?" But I love Isaiah Kafuzi. I loved what he brought. I thought he played great in that last game. He led the team in tackles in the final preseason game. He had double-digit tackles in that game. So I thought he personally did enough. They didn't think so. He got released. So hopefully nobody else goes after him and he could be a practice squad. But I do have a feeling he's going to be snatched up by a team that really needs a linebacker pretty quick. So those are some of the roster cuts we have. If you guys have any others that are popping up, we can talk about those. But if not, then we'll move on and we'll go to the divisions. But say if you guys don't have any, we'll go to the divisions. right now. So let's start out with the let's go to the NFC first. Here we go. We got a comment from Jordan. Should the Colts target James Washington since T.Y.'s hurt? I think that's a potential option. I think he's a pretty decent receiver. I do like the depth the Colts have at the receiver position right now. I like what Michael Strawn brings. I love Desmond Patman, consistently getting you 60 plus yards in those preseason games. He is hurt though, so who knows when he's going to come back, but he's somebody I like. Obviously Pascal, when he comes back from being on the COVID list, which should be Thursday or Friday. I like him. Obviously Pittman and Campbell are two other guys, but yeah, James Washington, somebody I would consider. Like I said earlier, John Brown's another guy too, but yeah, James Washington's definitely a guy I would consider for Indy. I guess I'll go to you, Jacob, because I don't know too much about the Eagles receivers right now. I know you guys drafted that kid last year. That was pretty good. Do you guys think you'll need to go after another receiver?
Definitely having depth at receiver doesn't hurt. We did just draft Devontae Smith, and then we also did draft Jalen Reagor last year. We definitely have some good speed options, and always having someone who has experience. Washington's not necessarily a veteran. I want to say he's been 3-4 years in the league.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah, but having some experience, because I think our oldest receiver might be Jalen Reagor at the moment. I'm sure we have other people, and then also the tight ends. Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz are more experienced, so it wouldn't hurt, but it's also one of those, is the price right? Because you're not going to waste a lot of capital on someone who you don't necessarily have to have.
Right. True. And then Jonathan, I know I don't think Washington is needing as many receivers, but are you somebody who would be interested in bringing in James Washington or potentially like a John Brown?
No, not really. We were sort of very good on our receiving depth, and basically not only we just signed Samuel in the offseason, but we got some very good mid-round, late rounds of receiver like Dan Mills from BYU, Zach Wilson's weapon, and basically we got some very much a little more one veteran side with Andre Carter along with that, or DeAndre Carter, excuse me, and we take care of so much on receiver depth, so I think we were okay on that front though, even though our tight ends room is a little bit small. Along with it, even it's a little bit more unrelated, but I just want a quick shout out to one of our tight ends who actually made the roster, and he's the very first chilling NFL player made an NFL roster who made the 50-man roster. Sammy Reyes. Keep an eye on him. Just wanted to give him a quick shout out to this program. And Brandon and I sort of are very good at tight end depth, even though it was a bit low. Even we got some very good run block on tight ends along with him and John Bates along with that. They need a little bit more help with receiving 5%. There's a very good maybe for run blocking options along with it. So we were sort of very good on tight end and receiver depth so far.
All right. Awesome. So now we're going to move on to the divisions. So what we're going to do is we're going to predict the exact standings that we believe each division will be at once the season ends. And we're going to start out with the NFC. We're going to go NFC North first. So I'm going to go to Jacob first on this one. Jacob, as far as the NFC North, how do you see that going this year?
Interesting with the first two of the Packers and the Vikings. You're always like, oh, hey, the Packers are definitely going to win that. Bakhtiari is still on the PUP list, so he's going to be out for at least 6 weeks. So I definitely think that will hurt Green Bay. And so I would go Vikings first and then the Packers, but barely. That'll be one of those where it's anybody's division up until week 18. And then I'd go Bears going third in the division, possibly getting a wild card spot. It all depends on really when will they trust Justin Fields, and also is Justin Fields going to be good enough? And then the Detroit Lions. I don't foresee them doing anything this year.
Right. All right. So now we're going to go to Jonathan. Jonathan, what is your prediction for the NFC North?
The Vikings are very much a weird team in the last 5 or 6 years because every time they get in the playoffs, they put an odd number year. Pretty much mainly Mike Zimmer's tenure of the Vikings. You ever get that feeling basically the made playoffs 1 year was an odd number. The next year, even did not make the playoffs. Made the playoffs. Following year, not make the playoffs again. Keep going pattern and pattern. I feel like we might see that again. That's always the one little major issue for the Vikings last few years. It's a low level of consistency every year in the playoffs. Are we going to be a very talented team or back to be a mediocre team along with it? There was always an issue along with Minnesota along with it. They had the years of talent to do it. The question is how they get a little hold up too much in the last couple of weeks. And they did improve on defense, though. That's a very good sign with it, and did fix some offensive line woes. And a little bit based on Mike Zimmer, though, if he had signed that extension 2 years ago, I think he would have been out for Minnesota, though. I'm not saying Zimmer's a bad coach necessarily. I felt like if he couldn't do past of those last few years, when even after the season's over, I think they're not going to start going anywhere with it. Division-wise, Green Bay first, second possibly is Minnesota, third Chicago. It depends on the status of the QB situation. It depends on Justin Fields is fully ready. If they start trust him enough to go up for the majority of the year, maybe week 5, week 6. And the Lions, they're in rebuilding mode, so don't expect them to do anything all that much. I don't think it'll be god awful that year, but I don't. They were basically sort of growing pains for a rebuild, though, so it might take a little bit of time for the team to do anything. So that was my standings.
Alrighty. And then for me, this is a pretty difficult division to predict too, especially with the top 3. But I don't think anybody's going to be shocked that number 4 will be the Lions. I don't see the Lions doing anything this year. I think they might be able to get a win or two, but they're probably the worst team in the league, if not second worst team. It depends with them and another team. At number 3, I'm actually going to go Minnesota. I think Minnesota improved defensively, which is good. I don't trust Kirk Cousins enough. I know they've gotten to the playoffs, or he's been in the playoffs before, but I don't trust him enough. And that defense, I think, has improved. I think they have the potential to be really good. I just don't see it happening this year. Number 2, I'm going to go the Bears, though, because I do feel like even though their cornerbacks are not quite as good as what they were the year prior, they still have a really good defense. Smith is a monster. He's an absolute monster. They got some good guys on that team. And I know a lot of people are crapping on Andy Dalton. I don't think Andy Dalton's that bad of a quarterback. I mean, he led the Bengals to the playoffs multiple years. I believe he's won the division with the Bengals a few times. I mean, the guy's not a bad quarterback. It's just, can your offensive line hold up? That's the big question for Chicago. And I could definitely see a scenario where Justin Fields does not play this year. I could see that being a possibility. I think eventually he's going to play, but I think right now, I think Andy Dalton, until he doesn't look that great on the Bears, I think Andy Dalton's going to be the guy. So I like the team. I think they're a playoff team. But, I don't think anybody's going to be shocked as well with number 1. I got the Packers. I mean, there's some key pieces on that team that are going to be missing for a little bit, but it's Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game, and he's not showing any signs of slowing down. They've got some receivers, and everybody keeps saying that the Packers need weapons. They need help. They got 2 really good receivers on that team. You got the number 1 receiver in the NFL with Devontae Adams. I like Scanling or whatever. They got a good tight end there with Tanyan. A good running back. Actually, a couple good running backs on that team. So I think he's fine when it comes to weapons. I don't think he really needs anything else. And their defense, I think, is good too. So Packers finish first, then Bears, then Vikings, and then the Lions. So now we'll go to the NFC South. So I'm going to go to Jonathan on this one. Who do you have in the division? Or who do you think, or how do you think the division's going to stack up?
NFC South? The NFC South, I think, is going to be some significant change along with it. So I'm going to start. Let's just get the one easy thing out of the way. I think the Bucs are going to win that division. Let's be honest. Not only they're Super Bowl champions, they brought majority of the roster back. without doing anything. Even if some players they take pay cuts. So I think the Sun will full off season, pull everything together. I think that we'll go win the AFC South very clearly. For second place, I'm gonna surprise some people. I'm gonna pick the Panthers. The reason I say that because it might surprise some people because look at their record last year, which it's not great, 6-10 or final line, regardless what their record is, it's not great. But keep that in mind though, majority of those losses are all done by one possession games, and he did very well in those games, even without Christian McCaffrey. So there are a good team in the need on building a good team, not a playoff team necessarily, but Matt Rule keeps them in games in good possessions. Even with Sam Darnold in preseason, it seemed like more comfortable in the pocket, even with that Joe Brady offense along with it. Even with his new receivers, they had some good flow. So I don't think there would be a playoff team necessarily, but I don't think they will be horrible. So I'm going to put them in second place. It might surprise some people that they might get any credit for. And third, I'm going to pick New Orleans slightly. It depends on Jameis because Jameis played very well in the preseason, and he got the star job. And it depends, can he stay consistent? Remember last year at Tampa, 30 touchdowns is very good and very good stat, but also 30 receptions along with it. So it really depends on. Yeah, you still have Alvin Kamara in the running game, but it depends on how this is going to work. They kept them very competitive, and they're not. And also, by the way, kind of a bit of a standard thing for the Saints, though. They're not going to play in sort of New Orleans because of Hurricane Ina right now, so they're not going to play the majority of the sort of the home field of it. I think maybe in Texas, so because they're playing practicing so maybe there was maybe go growing pains along with that. So I'm going to put them in third. Fourth, I think maybe the Falcons though, because similar like Detroit, there was mainly sort of a Eagles. They have a very good high with Arthur Smith along with it. They have a very good pick with Kyle Pitts. I still think Matt Ryan's will be really good, though, but it depends on one question. Defense. Can this sort of hold up, though? It's always been an Achilles side for them in the last couple of years. So that will be my second for the NFC Cup.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on number 4. Atlanta, I think their offense is going to be really good this year, but it's the defense. That's the biggest question, because I could see Atlanta with how good that offense could be. Yeah, they lost Julio Jones, but still, Calvin Ridley, Kyle Pitts, Matt Ryan. He's in the top 15, top 10 for yards or whatever, all-time yards. So, he's still got it. It's just the defense. So I'm going to put him at number 4 for now, but I won't be shocked if they go up to number 2. My number 3, I'm actually going to go with, I think I'm going to go with the Saints too. And the reason why I'm going to go with the Saints is the weapons. I don't like their weapons as much as, say, Tampa Bay or Carolina or maybe even Atlanta. I'm not the biggest fan of their weapons. They got some guys there. Alvin Kamara, he's going to do his thing. I think Jameis Winston's going to have a really good year this year. It will really depend on if that eye surgery he got fixed his issues, because like I said, he threw 30 interceptions the last time he was a starting quarterback. So if he ended up fixing his eyes, he could be dangerous. He could be one of the better quarterbacks. And then also they have another quarterback on that team that I like a lot too. So if, let's say, Jameis doesn't pan out, a lot of people laugh. I actually like Ian Book on that team. We were kind of laughing oh, Ian Book's going to be the first pick. We were kind of laughing at that, but he really does fit the New Orleans Saints system. He really fits it. He plays similar to Drew Brees. I'm not saying he's as good as Drew Brees, but his play style is similar to Drew Brees. Sean Payton really does like Ian Book too. That was somebody he liked a lot. Ian Book won a lot of games in college too. So, look, I like him. What I saw in preseason, I liked a lot too. So they got quarterbacks there. It's just the weapons. That's why I got my number 3. Number 2, I'm going to go to Panthers as well. I like their weapons more. I think Sam Darnold is going to have a really good year this year. I think he's out of the Jets organization. That really could have ruined his career. Now he's going to Carolina. I expect him to play really well. He's got good receivers there. Their defense isn't too bad at all. They got a pretty solid offensive line. All around, they got a pretty solid team. So I'm going to go Carolina number 2, and then number 1, Tampa Bay. They brought everybody back. Like, they didn't lose anybody that was important to that team. They brought every single player back. That doesn't happen a whole lot. They were able to do it. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that again next year, but I got Tampa Bay number 1 in the NFC South. So, Jacob, who do you got in the NFC South?
Okay. Now that I know that we're going 4-3-2-1 on our picks, I do think that Atlanta, Carolina, and New Orleans are going to be really close throughout the entirety. Maybe Atlanta and Carolina get a sizable lead. Atlanta has one of the easiest schedules, and they lost Julio. Picking up Kyle Pitts was definitely a good pickup for them. And then Matt Ryan starting to go into that prove it mode of, hey, I am a good quarterback. Let's solidify my legacy. So I definitely see both Atlanta having a good year. And then also with Carolina, you never know with Sam Darnold. He was on a horrible team with the Jets. Having a great running back like Christian McCaffrey, we'll see how that helps him. So I definitely see the last 3 in that division being very close. I think Carolina is going to end up being 4th, but I do see every single team in this division having at least 6 wins, which now that there's 17 games isn't a lot, but really, you're in the top half of the division with that. I do see Carolina being 4th. I think the Falcons, once they start playing their division games, will kind of lose that strength that they had, that momentum. They'll finish 3rd. And then New Orleans finishing 2nd. I think their biggest issue, they won't have Michael Thomas for the first, I think, 5 games because they have a pretty early bye this year. So they'll start off pretty slow, but then be able to start picking up and have momentum towards the end of the year. I think that's really going to be the biggest reason why they don't win the division. Because, hey, Jameis's last season, the guy threw for 5,000 yards with 30 touchdowns.
Yep.
And 30 interceptions. He had a very good year. Like, let's be honest. Yeah. If you cover that interception stat, he had a phenomenal year his last year. Yes, he had Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. So he's definitely losing. He's not going to have those great weapons because really his only weapon, Michael Thomas, isn't going to be there for the first bit. But I do see them going 2nd. And then I do see Tampa Bay winning the division. I said it last year that they were going to start off slow because they didn't have that training camp. Mm-hmm. Well, they've had a full-on year, and again, this year is the exact same team. Unfortunately, I think they're gonna start off exactly where they stopped last year.
Yeah, and they're gonna be a tough team to play against. I'll be at that game though. Tampa Bay Indy. I'll be at that game. Should be a fun game. But JDW, you're in the comment section. How you doing, man? He's actually down to sign Cam Newton to the Colts. I'm not. It's not because I don't think Cam is good enough to be on the roster. I'd rather have them roll with Eason and Ellinger and Wentz. Just have them. I think Eason proved that he's a good backup, so Cam would be probably 3rd string, just based on how they looked and whatnot. So, but hey, I mean, if he provides something to the team, why not line him back? Put him as a receiver. Can he catch the ball? We'll do that. But I think Eason can. Look, Wentz is going to be the guy. Wentz is coming in week 1. I know COVID struck and whatnot, but he'll be back practicing Thursday or Friday. I believe Wentz will be the guy. And then Eason, I liked what I saw from Eason, and he was only playing with the backups too. So I think he can do even better. But we're going to go to the NFC East now. We're going to predict that. I'm going to go first on this one. I'll bring this up right before. JDW says Cam still has a great running ability and is a better thrower than most people give him, or better thrower than people give him crap. Yeah, but he's not I don't think so. I like Eason more. I think he's the better quarterback. I mean, Cam Newton didn't look great last year. But I don't know. Maybe he'll play better with us. Who knows? But I'm going to start off the NFC East, though. At number 4, I'm going to go the Giants. I just have no faith in Daniel Jones. I think their defense is really good. And it sucks because they have a really good defense, but they have a really bad offense. I don't really see a lot of positives on the offensive side of things, maybe 1 or 2. But Daniel Jones would have to really step up this year. I mean, they got Kenny Galladay. That's a nice pickup. But, Kenny Galladay's going to a worse quarterback. So, Kenny, you should have went somewhere else. Go to Indy or go to anywhere, really. Anywhere. Not the Giants. Defense is really good. They're going to cause a lot of issues for offenses, but you can't really do anything with that offense. Number 3, I'm going to go the Eagles. Reason being Jalen Hurts. I don't have faith in Jalen right now. Maybe he'll prove me wrong. Maybe Jalen will go out there and he'll win. I thought it was interesting to see Gardner Minshew show up. I thought Gardner would actually be a pretty decent quarterback in Philly. I honestly, if Gardner would have had a few more weeks in that system and had an opportunity to learn more, I actually would have went with Gardner over Jalen. I think Gardner is a better quarterback. And look, when he was on the Jags, he was on a horrible team, and he still didn't look too bad. He didn't have a great year last year, but that team was terrible. So I think put him in a better system. I think Gardner Minshew will surprise people, and you don't need to have a great quarterback to win that division. You really don't need to. So Gardner could probably go into Philly, and with like Devontae Smith and Rager and some of these other guys, they might be able to make some noise. But they're going Jalen. Maybe Jalen will prove me wrong, but I just never really had faith in Jalen. Number 2, I'm going to go the Cowboys. I think Dak Prescott's going to have a really good year statistically. I think that defense outside of like Parsons is not going to do anything. That's going to be the thing that will kill them once again. But I like their offense. I think that will be enough for them to get the number 2 seed in that division. I don't see them winning it. I do have Washington as the team winning that division. They got the quarterback they needed. Fitzpatrick is, honestly, he's not a great quarterback, but he's a solid quarterback, and that's enough. He's better than Alex Smith was last year. So they got the quarterback. They got some weapons. They got a really good run game, and their defense has the potential to be the best defense in the NFL. Like, it's a really good defense this year. So that's where I'm going for number 1. I'll go to the comments real quick, then I'll go to you, JDW, or I'll go to you, Jacob, JDW. He says, my problem with the Giants is that their receivers was never, or their problem was never the receivers. They just don't have the guys. Daniel Jones is not, he's not a good quarterback, so obviously it doesn't help, but they really don't have the receivers. They have Kenny Galladay, and they signed Rudolph, I believe, too, but that's about it.
And then they also drafted the Florida receiver.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah, Tony or whatever, which I don't know why they traded up to get him. Made no sense. He was going to be available later on. They probably could have waited. Probably could have traded back and could have gotten him too. But, whatever. Mac Jones was available. And, he's better than Daniel Jones. And, it's Mac Jones. JDW also says it was the guy trying to get the ball to the receivers. Yeah, he's a bad quarterback, but still. He thinks the NFC East is a toss-up, and he can't believe the Eagles cut Fulgham. Neither can Jacob. But we're going to go to Jacob next. So, Jacob, how do you see the division?
I'm going to be very similar with you, Matt. The Giants are going to be last in this division. They're going to have one of the lowest records of any team this year. Yeah. Because again, there's a reason my favorite opening to this channel is the Daniel Jones TikTok meme joke video of him wide open field, gets to the 20-yard line and just trips. This is like his make it year. Unfortunately, most of his offensive line retired at the beginning of training camp because they didn't want to run drills. Third in the division, I hate to say it, I have to pull this knife out of my heart. I do see the Eagles going third in this division. With a new coach and Nick Sirianni, sometimes you get a brand new coach and you do amazing. A lot of times when you get a brand new coach, you don't do amazing.
Yeah.
And when you do amazing with a brand new coach, it's like when they're like the heir apparent. Whenever he is a positions coach or a coordinator, they're like, he's going to be a coach one day. That wasn't the case with Nick Sirianni. He's had some questionable decisions as far as leadership goes. Both you see it in his interviews and then with his training camp stuff. It does help that they did a lot of camps with the Patriots, so maybe some of Bill Belichick's genius can rub off on him. But I don't see them having a great year. Maybe next year, we'll see.
Yeah.
And then I see Washington going second for the simple fact of the NFC East is the division you cannot win 2 years in a row. It has been proven for like the last 15 years. I do like this team, which is very weird to say. They do have great weapons. Antonio Gibson as a running back. While my father was carving turkey for Thanksgiving dinner, he was carving the Colts defense or the Cowboys defense
I was going to say.
during during that game. They were able to pick up Curtis Samuel, very good second wide receiver with Scary Terry. And you said it, Ryan Fitzpatrick is not a great quarterback. He is a magical quarterback where he can be, in one game, the best quarterback you've ever seen, and then the very next game, be horrible. I do think that it's going to come down to like the last couple of weeks. He's just not going to have the gas in the tank left, and they're not going to have the greatest games to end the season. Plus, they do have a pretty difficult schedule this year, so I think it's just not going to be enough to win the division. And so, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but I do think the Cowboys are going to win this division. I'm going to kill myself afterwards for saying that, but it is what it is. They do have the second best wide receiver trio in the NFL. Zeke is a monster, and Dak Prescott will hopefully be healthy throughout the entirety of the season. And so their defense is going to keep them from winning a game in the playoffs, like every single playoffs that they've ever been to since 1995. But I do see them winning.
Right. And I'll go to some of the comments. Imagine keeping JJ Arcega Whiteside over Fulgham.
JJ Arcega.
But
the C is like you have a lisp.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that. But just because he was a second round pick. And then he also says Nick Sirianni's a puppet over there. He doesn't think that Howie's going to let him do much. I tend to agree with that. I love Nick Sirianni, but yeah, I kind of agree with that. And then Michael Strawn is like our Travis Fulgham. I think Michael Strawn is like our Reggie Wayne. No, he needs a little more time to develop. He's a little raw, but he's great. And then Fitzmagic is going to either throw 4 picks or 4 touchdowns. Very true. And then he's with you on the Cowboys winning. And then Reese Fountain making the Colts. He made. I think he meant the Chiefs roster. I do like that he made the Chiefs roster. It's nice to see because I liked Fountain. I wish he would have made. I wish he would have stuck around a little longer in Indy, but no, I'm happy to see him on a team like Kansas City and to see him do some good things. But I'm gonna go to Jonathan really quick.
And
we'll go to the
sorry. Jonathan, will you give your predictions? I have to run real quick, but I'll be right back.
All right. Yep. Well, we'll see in a bit. Now we're gonna go to Jonathan. Jonathan, how do you see the NFC East stacking up?
I'm gonna want one change though. I actually put Philadelphia at the last in that division though, which I have no idea what the Eagles are legit are doing. So, JDW put it in the chat, put it out there. I don't think Sirianni will do that much. I don't think he will just more control the team that people might claim because he was basically Holly Roseman basically kind of controls the team, and that is not usually your GM basically micromanage the coaching staff where you're trying to help them. Let's be honest, the Eagles are rebuilding. I don't think they'll be competitive anytime soon. it's sort of like a low-risk, high-reward scenario with Jalen Hurts. Like, if he doesn't work, we'll just drop one QB. Like, keep that in mind. Not only have the Eagles next year's draft, they have 2 first-rounders. Third, if Carson Wentz basically would play the majority of the season with your Colts, though. So, basically, if they do badly along with it, I think they're going to have one that's supposed to draft a quarterback, at least maybe the top 5, at least, if they've done very badly. And the other ones are basically skill positions and the key needs, though. So, like a low-risk, high-reward, so I don't see Philadelphia will do that well. Third, it's a little easy, the Giants. Like, I can agree with both of you. I don't think Danny Jones is the answer. And even their defense is good, and my concern with that team, I'm having sort of a question with Joe Judge's coaching methods, because you mentioned basically what's going on with their training camps. Along with that, it got to various conflict, and also some of the majority of the roster just quit or retired in a matter of like 4 or 5 days around that span, which is a bit concerning when Judge's coaching tactics along with it. So that's a bit concerning because, and even I thought he did okay with his first year, though. It was a little bit more slow pace along with it. I thought like maybe one of the receptions for the Patriots coaching staff along with it will not be garbage, but after that little training camp thing, it's maybe reconsider that. So that's that. And maybe if anything doesn't work, got similar thing with Philadelphia. You got 2 first-round picks thanks to Chicago, so maybe you use one of your first rounds on QB if you did horrible. Second, gonna put maybe on Dallas slightly, because let's be honest, the top 2 ways is Washington or Dallas for that division. Let's be honest with that. And it depends on a couple things for each side of the team. We'll go on Dallas with it. Dallas is succeeded. We all know their offense is going to be very good. Dak coming back very healthy. Along with it, let's just hope his promotion doesn't get shot along with it. And if you look at Dallas' schedule is interesting because early on it did very well, though. I don't think we'll win against Tampa in week 1, so let's get that out. Even after that, they sort of like a look for schedule list for 2 or 3 weeks. After that, it's going to get very much a hard schedule afterwards. And also, so like Michael Parsons, the defense will improve, but I can see their defenses maybe not thinking it could be up there with others right here. It will be better, but I don't think it will do that great. And I'm kind of questioning some of their tactics along with that. So, and number 1, I had to go Washington, but I could see them go 2 ways with this. So like Dallas, it depends how the offense really produce. And basically, you 2 said it. Basically, they have great weapons like Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, and we got our sort of our 3rd rounder with Donnie Brown along with it, and now we got Gibson in the backfield. And also, want to give a shout out to another running back who did very well in the preseason. And by the way, can I tell you an interesting fun fact about him? Scored like 8 touchdowns in college in 1 game, and not even joking. Jared Patterson, and you know the weird thing is, he went undrafted. Not even late rounders. And a little fun fact about him and Chase Young were very much elementary school classmates at one point. They know each other in accounting around DC in a very long time. So, and fun fact, and he recommended the coaching staff to get him in the draft, even though he went undrafted. My team got him along with that and did very well the preseason. And they told the reporters, told Chase Young, like, he was surprised he did well. I was like, that ain't surprising on me. It's all pretty much the majority of my life. So I think do not sleep on Jared Patterson. It's maybe a good backfield with, along with Antonio Gibson and Jamie McKissick along with it. And I had to agree both. Patterson's not a great quarterback. What I think their team needs right now is someone just manage the game or be solely a game manager, or at least a QB just throw it down the field, though. Let's be honest. It's pretty much a division to begin with, so we need someone to be manageable. Be something like manageable. And let's be honest, Fitzpatrick is a sharp gap, and so we might get a quarterback next year, though. Even though the team might do good, let's just say we got into the playoffs, and we hear not be somebody who might drive a quarterback next year, though, and we need to pretty much get the roster first before we get a quarterback. I think we got a very good enough roster we did, and I think we just need a quarterback along with that next year, though. So I think we'll get first, and also one here, the defense, I think we'll do way better than last year, though. And they're very talented on the front four. They did improve on the secondary with William Jackson and Brian Kane. along with it in our roster, and basically we have a very much a competent roster along with it. So I put versus Washington.
Right. Alrighty, and then I'm going to go to the comments real quick before we get on to the NFC West. JDW says that Howie hired Nick so Nick can take all the heat. Howie's ego destroyed that team. They were primed for a while, and Howie did Howie. How do you view that, Jacob? Because I know you're the Eagles fan here.
So I don't think Howie has ruined this team. We got really hurt with Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly started off great, and then he was like, "No, I'm running this team." So to be successful, you have to have a GM and coach who mesh together. So I did really enjoy Howie telling Chip Kelly, "Hey, go home. You don't belong here." Definitely, there have been some questionable decisions made in the past couple seasons, especially firing Doug Peterson. He's a fantastic coach, and I don't know why they got rid of him. And so I'm not going to say Howie Roseman is a horrible GM. He has made some bad decisions, and he needs to find the way to mesh with his head coach. And so definitely I could see in the next couple of years, if Sirianni stays, finding a way to get that together. It's he needs to turn it down a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm rooting for Nick Sirianni. I loved him. Obviously, loved what he did in Indy. I'm happy you guys took him over Eberflus, though. I'm very happy we still have Eberflus as our defensive coordinator. But he'll probably
Howie couldn't pronounce the last name. So.
True, that's why he's like, how can we? Sirianni is easier to pronounce. Eberflus? No, we're gonna go Sirianni. But no, I think Eberflus is gone after this year. I think he's gonna be a coach somewhere. Maybe Chicago. He says Howie kind of reminds him of Grigson. Won't own up to anything. I disagree just because of Grigson's like horrendously bad. I don't think Howie's horrendously bad just because they do have a Super Bowl win. It's just the last few years haven't gone the way they wanted to. But Grigson is like a nightmare. And then he also says, "See, I have the Cowboys because of their offense, man. Offense rules in the regular season. Dallas's defense is a little better than people think. I think they're a little better than what they were last year, but I don't think they're good still."
The biggest issue with that comment, JDW, is you said that the defense is better than they think. Most people think that the Cowboys defense is a dumpster fire. It's a lot easier to be better than a dumpster fire. So,
right. It's just, I don't know. I think their defense will be better, but their defense was bad last year. But I think Carson's definitely improves that defense. And then I did not know Malik Jefferson went to Dallas. I like Malik. It's nice to see him go to Dallas or somewhere in general. I mean, he's not a bad linebacker. I just didn't think he did enough for us. And he's asking, and I guess I can ask all you this. He wants to know if we're draft nuts, like watching tape on college players and such. I get more into that as we get closer to, I guess, the midway point of the college football season. And then I really start watching it and I kind of look into it. That's why I was really high on there's this linebacker or whatever. I have to look and see what the video or look at the video. There's this guy that was really good in college. I'll go to one of you guys if you guys want to take over for a sec while I look for the guy. But do you guys look over tape for college?
So I will say I'm a big college football fan. My entire weekend is pretty much consumed with football. Saturday is college, and then Sunday is the NFL. I haven't fully mastered the figuring out how this person will work into a scheme in the NFL, because I'm a big Texas Christian University fan. Go Frogs! So of course, when the Eagles drafted Jalen Reagor, I was ecstatic. But there have been several TCU players, like I'll name them right now, Trevon Boykin, quarterback right after Andy Dalton. I'm like, that is a fantastic player. going to be drafted very quickly in the NFL and do amazing there. Went undrafted, got signed with the Seahawks, and was a backup to Russell Wilson for a couple years. So I'm working on that, and then hey, maybe one day you'll see me as the next Mel Kiper Jr.
Okay, there you go. But the guy I was thinking of, I had to go back at some of the videos and look him up. Patrick Johnson from Tulane. I really liked what I saw from him. He was dominant at Tulane, and I really wanted him. I thought they could have got him in the 5th round, but they decided to go with Sean Davis, and Sean Davis is not on the team, so maybe they should have went with Patrick Johnson. But I don't know. They don't need linebackers, I guess. But Jonathan, do you watch any tape on college football players?
I watch my highlight runs on YouTube and even some prospects, some potential prospects for next year's draft along with it. There's one player that part of me, if he falls down the range 7 or 13 lanes, I really hope my team maybe trade up in the draft. If we get in that position, we have to trade up in the draft around that range to get this player. I think it will be good. Keep an eye on a player named Malik Willis, quarterback Liberty. I know it's a small college along with it, but a lot of analysts say he might potentially surprise some people. No, he was potentially to become the first rounder anyway, though. He was originally supposed to be Auburn, then he transferred over to Liberty because if they give him more time to shine right here. Even rumor at one point might go into the first overall pick. He'd be playing way better than every pick. Go look at his highlights of Malik Willis. Go look at his highlight tape. He is amazing. And even compare the speed of Michael Vick and Arnold Mahomes. He's that good of a player. Go watch. Part of me, if he falls down around the 7 or 13 range, if my team traded up, we're getting him. So I really hope that happens.
Nice. I'll have to look into him for sure. But I'll go to a few more of the comments real quick. JDW says he's been studying players and for next year doing the mock drafts, and then he does believe that Gibson's going to go off for Washington this year, and I do tend to agree. How you doing, Big Play Slay? We got another Eagles fan in the comments. He says, "Go Birds." And then JD saying, "What's up?" They're talking to each other. What's
That's nice.
What's with? I think he's talking about what's up with him keeping JJ over Fulgham. I don't know. They should have kept Fulgham. And then Big Play Slay joined us as we were talking about the Eagles. Said perfect timing, definitely true. Jim Davis, he's learning a lot too. And I did not realize Patrick Johnson fell to the 7th round. I thought he was picked in the 5th round for whatever reason, but yeah, I liked a lot. I haven't seen him in what he's done with the Eagles then, but I liked him a lot with what I saw. He was dominating in Tulane. And in Diehard Outdoors, how you doing? Glad to see you here. He says, keep up the good work, guys. Always push out good and more content. Thank you very much. And JDW does agree with you, Jonathan. He says Malik Willis. He's watching tape on him next. He's watched Rattler and Sam Howell. I'm gonna have to watch Willis tape too. I'll definitely have to see it. He says Malik can definitely be that dude that rises like crazy. Maybe he does. Diehard says he feels like the Colts need a strong backup quarterback, and we're not thinking that way. I think Eason can be that backup. I like him. I liked what he's done so far, but if they can get a better quarterback, I'm always welcome to it. And he says we gave up on Hooker. I can't believe that we didn't get to see him at his best yet. I agree. I wish we could have kept Hooker a little more. And then Big Play Slay. And then we'll go to the NFC West after this one. He says, I don't know why they're hyping up Spencer Rattler the way they are. He's super overrated. He's so inconsistent. One good half and then one bad half. I'll give him that. Or I'll give him this year to see if he's the same.
Watch the Red River shootout last season. You can tell he started out great and then died immediately. It was interesting to watch.
Oh yeah, he. I don't know. I was never real big on him either last year. I was like, okay, he's not too bad, but he's not great. But yeah, I don't know. I'll watch him this year. Maybe he does something, but he could be one of those quarterbacks like I don't know. Just name one of the quarterbacks that come in, everybody thinks it's going to be all that great, and then he just kind of falls off.
I mean, Robert Griffin III in 4 years in college did absolutely nothing until his third to the last game when they balled against Oklahoma, speaking of Rattler. And then out of nowhere, he's the best quarterback ever, wins the Heisman, gets drafted second overall, and we all know how that story ends.
Yeah, he's.
You guys don't want to remind us about that.
He had potential. Had a really good first year, and then just kind of fell because of injuries. I mean, it sucks, but it is what it is. But now we're gonna go to the NFC West. So I believe we're gonna go to Jacob on this one. So Jacob, how do you see the NFC West stacking up?
Well, last year I said that this was going to be the best division in the NFL, where all four of these teams could make the playoffs, which with 7 playoffs teams is possible now. And I definitely see that being the case again. All 4 of these teams have their stuff together, really. I do think last is going to be Arizona. Which again isn't saying much because all 4 of these teams are great. I did like them signing J.J. Watt to strengthen up the defense, which was really kind of their biggest weakness last year. Picking up A.J. Green, we'll see if he can muster up something like he has done in the past, back when Andy Dalton was able to lead Cincinnati to several division wins with no playoff win. But again, they're facing a really tough division. I think in third place is going to be Los Angeles. I don't know how to feel about Matthew Stafford being their quarterback. I wasn't really impressed with Jared Goff either. But again, I did like their pickup of Sony Michel. He should have been an Eagle in that draft, but no, we decided not to try to trade up at all. I think second will be the 49ers. I do think Garoppolo is going to start every game. I don't really see Trey Lance starting. I see them switching back and forth a couple times just to get that trickery and keep their offense up-tempo. But then I do see Seattle winning it all. Or at least winning the division. Russell Wilson is a fantastic quarterback. Even when he has no offensive line, if he can't get the ball off, he'll just run for a first down. Still have Chris Carson, DK Metcalf. What's the other wide receiver's name? I just blanked on his name.
Lockett.
Yes, Tyler Lockett. I was about to say TJ Hawkinson. I'm like, no, that's a tight end. But yeah, no, Tyler Lockett. They still have great weapons. And their defense is also pretty dominant. So I do think Seattle will win that division.
Okay. And now I'm going to go to some of the comments really quick before we go to Jonathan. We were talking about, I think I said, we were talking about Eason or whatever. I said I was confident Eason, and Die Hard says that he hopes I'm right. JDW does like Rattler quite a bit. He's in love with the Rattler, and then he is not with Sam Howell. I actually think Sam Howell might be the best quarterback in that draft class. I think he might be. I liked what I saw from him this year or last year with North Carolina. I think it's going to continue. And then here's a question we can all go to real quick, and then we'll go to Jonathan. Who's a sleeper for Rookie of the Year? I'll go to Jonathan first on this one, and then I'll go to Jacob, and then I'll go last.
Okay. Person I could say can maybe surprise some people is Rookie of the Year. I think it's between 2 to me. I could see maybe I'm actually going to go with Mac Jones. Maybe get Rookie of the Year. He might surprise some people that never even hope. And I could see he will have a very good year with the offense. And the other one I have in mind is a little outside the box. Rookie of the Year though. It's a running back, but not the first rounders one. I'm actually going to go Trey Simeon, the another Trey for San Francisco. The running backs for the Owners. I think he will do well with that Shanahan offense. I think he will pull up big numbers for his rookie year behind Raheem Mostert. And I think they might have a very good running game along with it. I think we'll put up bigger yards along with it for any other rookie running backs.
Okay. And then what about for defensive rookie of the year?
And I'm not going to become a real homer about this. Maybe Jamin Davis. And I think it basically the front four is going to help along with it. He's a very talented player. It's a bit raw, but I think he will do well his first year. But that defense will help him out along with it. We'll get more recognition along that defense. And the other one I can think of on the defensive side along with it is keep forgetting that name. This is okay. I'm actually pick JOK, Jeremiah Crucial-Corma for the Browns. I can see both of them maybe getting for defensive rookie of the year along with it. So there's my two thoughts on it.
Okay. So for me, I'm gonna go defense first. I had to kind of pull up some of the other guys that were available because I didn't want to skip out on some of the players that were in this draft class. I think sleeper Kwity Paye is a guy, obviously Colt, but Kwity Paye is definitely a sleeper. I know a lot of Colts fans aren't sleeping on him, but as far as the entire NFL, I see a lot of people when it comes to defensive rookie of the year. People are throwing out, like J.C. Horn, Patrick Surtain, Micaiah Parsons from the Cowboys. You see those guys being brought up, but you don't really see Kwity Paye. But Kwity Paye, as far as all the rookies, defensive rookies anyway, he was the highest rated for how he performed. Just watching him, how he plays against those offensive lines he goes up against, he's super fast. It seems like he can slip by them. He's somebody I would say to watch out for a sleeper. Another guy as a potential sleeper hit or a sleeper for defensive rookie of the year, maybe if he can stay healthy, that's the thing. Maybe Caleb Farley for Tennessee. He's somebody that might be able to sneak in as a potential sleeper. And if for offensive, Najee Harris is somebody that could potentially do it, but you normally see quarterbacks win it. So maybe, I don't know, because you look at all the guys quarterback-wise that could potentially make a push, like Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson is on the Jets. He's not going to be able to do much. Can Trevor Lawrence, can he deliver? And can he do enough for the Jags to do something? Excuse you, Jacob. Can he do enough? So, there's that too. So I'm going to go, because I feel like he's going to play this year pretty early on. Sleeper offensively, quarterback-wise, I think Trey Lance. Trey Lance, I think, is going to come in at some point this year, and I think he could potentially win Rookie of the Year for offense. And then I'll go to Jacob real quick, and then I'll go to Jonathan for his NFC West standing predictions.
Matt, exactly what you said. Offensive Rookie of the Year, 9 times out of 10 goes to a quarterback. That is why I think Najee Harris is the sleeper pick for Rookie of the Year. He's going to a fantastic Pittsburgh Steelers team. They did have a little drop in their offensive line, but I definitely see him having the best effect on a team. And of the 4 quarterbacks drafted, Trevor Lawrence with the Jags, that is a pretty tough division. I don't really see him having that great of a season. You just said his name. Drafted by the Jets, Zach Wilson.
Yeah,
it's the Jets.
Yeah,
I don't need to say anymore. Trey Lance, I don't think is going to start. We'll see. He'll definitely play, but again, just having Jimmy Garoppolo on that roster too, I think will detract from him being on the Rookie of the Year conversation unless he actually takes over the team. And then Mac Jones, you never know with the Patriots. Let's be honest, you never know with the Patriots. So I think Mac Jones has the best chance of winning Rookie of the Year. But my sleeper who I want to win is Najee Harris. And then as far as defensive rookie of the year, I mean, y'all have both brought up a lot of great names. One more that I want to add, Trayvon Moehrig, safety out of TCU.
Yeah.
Go Frogs, drafted by the Raiders. He was one of the best safeties. He ended up being like the third taken, which I don't know why. And then safety is just one of those like really important positions that it's like an unsung hero, really. When usually it goes to linebackers or corners who are able to have more say, get the interceptions, sacks, more tackles. But I think he is going to have a really good impact on the Raiders defense. So that's another name that I think could. Probably is not going to happen, but could.
Right. Alrighty. So those are all definitely guys that could potentially do it. Now I'm going to go to Jonathan for his NFC West standing prediction. So how do you see that stacking up?
Pretty much the same as last year, though. I could see any of these teams that go into the playoffs. Even I'm impressed to see all four of these teams are in the playoffs, though. Like, let's be honest. And they had some legitimate shots, but I'm going to go over my to be more realistic. Fourth, Arizona, kind of by default, but they're still a good team, though. But it's good, but not good enough yet. Like, let's be honest. Like, they're a very talented team. Like the first half of the year, they were 1 point. They were leading their division. They were 6-3. But second half of the year, kind of starting to get a little bit banged up right here. He wasn't more effective in the passing game, and even without him, it's starting to have a little bit of stumble, with injured, all that stuff. So that's a little concerning about that. And also at some point, might be making break with Cliff Kingsbury depends on though. Like, let's be honest. Like, if he getting back into the playoffs along with it, he'll be fine. But it fails it for the third year in a row. Might be a little bit some question if he has a coaching job next season though. After that, so they did improve on defense though. They like bringing JJ Watt along with that. They did fix some in their little line about Rodney Hudson from the Raiders along with that. So they did improve on there. They drafted like more second rounder with Rondale Moore, and they got more on linebacker with Damon Collins along with it. So they did improve the era. Can it be more enough to win the division? Maybe not yet, but it'll still be very competitive. At least, still a good team, but I had to put it there on the default in the fourth place. Third, I'm actually going to put Seattle. And I would agree with you right here. First half with Seattle, still a very talented team. Even put Russ 1 point MVP for last year. But even the second half of the year, remember that phrase, like, let Russ cook, though? Works very well the first half of the year. But I feel like the second half of the year, he kind of overcook it, though. You know what I mean by that, basically. Still be a good team, though. And even the winner, not division, I could see them as really a first-round exit, though. Let's be honest. Even they have an opportunity to beat the Rams, though, even without Aaron Donald in that game, though, and a broken quarterback around that. So they still couldn't get it done all like that. So you think it will be sort of another division? I don't quite think so, though. I'm going to put them third for the meantime. Second, I'm going to put the 49ers because I could see them can really have a bounce-back year. Like I said, kind of like with 2018. The reason I didn't make the playoffs because majority of the roster got injured. Year after that, they're very playoff team, go to the Super Bowl. 2020, their roster got injured as fuck, and pretty much next year, though, they could rebound from that. Could win the division, and regardless if you put Trey Lance or Jimmy Garoppolo on center, though, I still think they will be very competitive team regardless. Though. Even you can start platooning the two quarterbacks, I still think those will be good, though. You still have your defense along with it from that Super Bowl roster. You still have a very good weapons along with George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, and basically the running game, Raheem Mostert, Trey Simeon, though. So I put on second place. First, I'm going to put the Rams, though, number one, because it's going all in maneuver for the Rams, though. Like, they get rid of Goff, get rid of his contract, move to Detroit for Matt Stafford, and if we all to believe, Stafford just basically got hold back all these years by the awful Lions organization. I think it will do well in Detroit, though. You can tell he's having fun with McVay's offense. Even McVay raving about him. That in camp is like he very much finally unleashed the offense right here instead of like the other things keep only the one to make gripes with Goff, though. He felt like he didn't have to command the offense or basically trying to win games on its own, though. I feel like Stafford, you can win on the game on his own, though. Even with the weapons are not there, he could still win it for you, though, unlike Goff
Mhm.
couldn't do it. Still had the great defense with Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. Even without Brandon Staley there, I still think there will be a good defense regardless. So my division winner might be the LA Rams.
Okay. And then I'm going to go at number 4. I will put the Seahawks there. This is a very difficult division. This could go anywhere. But to me, I just don't think the Seahawks have enough defensively. Even though I think their defense is better this year than last year, I don't think their defense is good enough to get them ahead of the defenses like the Cardinals, Rams, 49ers. Offensively, they're going to be good. They're going to be really, really good. Obviously, Russell Wilson's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. They got some great receivers there. The run game is pretty solid too. Coaching staff is pretty good. So I'm going to go them at number 4. Number 3, I'm going to go the Cardinals. I think defensively they improved a lot, and that's really where they needed to. Last year, their offense has shown moments where they could be like one of, if not the best offense in the entire NFL. Like they had moments where they looked great and in moments where they didn't look so great. So this is a big year for Kyler. He's got to really step up. I think he's going to. I think that offense plays more consistent. I think adding AJ Green, I think adding him was big for their offense. I think he's going to provide some stuff for them. We don't know what's going on with Fitzgerald yet. He hasn't said he's retiring, but he hasn't said that he's going to play yet. So we don't know quite yet, but we'll find out. But if he comes back, that's another weapon. Has more tackles and drops in his career, which is absolutely insane. Obviously, Hopkins is a monster. That team is primed to make a run. I think they're going to do some good things, but I think they're number 3 because I just think the Rams and 49ers are they're better all around. Number 2, I'm going to go 49ers simply because I don't know what's going on with the quarterback. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is good enough to at least not cause enough problems to force them out of getting to a Super Bowl. I mean, he can be there, be serviceable, and they can make a run for a Super Bowl. And the defense is still really good. Bosa's a monster. He's coming back. The offense is better this year. So I'm going to go number 2 for them. Wouldn't be surprised if they're number 1, but we'll find out. And then the Rams, I got a number 1. Great defense, really good offense that got even better with Matthew Stafford. I think Matthew Stafford's going to go there and absolutely dominate in the league. So that's why I'm going to go with the Rams at number 1. Now we're going to go to the AFC. I'm going to bring up the comments really quick before we go to the AFC North. So Big Play Slay said, I'm kind of surprised that we cut Fulgham, but it's not surprising as I look at it. He was having a god-awful camp, and it just so happened that Jay Jaw does everything good at training camp and does nothing this season. Then you got Die Hard saying that, have you guys been watching Hard Knocks? Cowboys do not look great at all. I have. I always watch Hard Knocks. I enjoy the show. Did you guys watch Hard Knocks this year? No? No, it's a good season so far. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very much. He says Seahawks are always a hard out. True. He likes our picks for who could potentially be sleepers for offensive and defensive rookies of the year. As those continue, nice and good take, guys. And then he wants to know where Cam is going, like who's looking at him. We don't know exactly who. I think the Cowboys are probably looking at him. I know Washington admitted that Cam Newton popped up on their radar, but they're not going with him. But we mentioned the Broncos, the Texans, the Bengals, Washington, Carolina. There might have been one other team we mentioned, but those are the teams we mentioned as potential locations. The Giants was another one brought up earlier in the comments. And then he thinks that the Rams will be dangerous. They have Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald. I don't think Stafford had a D like that before. It's going to be cool to see. Yeah, like this is the best defense that he's going to have on his team. It's a great defense. So, I mean, that's a big reason why they're number 1 for me this year. It's just offensively they improved with the quarterback. But now we're going to go AFC North. I'm going to go to Jonathan first on this one. How do you see the AFC North stacking up?
For me, the AFC North is the tale of 2 teams. 2 teams are going to battle in this division. The Browns and the Ravens. The rest of the 2 are just on the shaft for me. So go get to number 4. It's pretty easy. It's the Bengals. They're not going to do very good. I'll be totally blunt about it. Like, Burrow's coming back, and did have very good though with 2 limited snaps. My concern with them is like if the potential is good enough if he stay sustainability. And I don't want to put up a jinx on one RG3 on there, but that's a little concerning if you come off a torn ACL like that with that type of injury like that. So that's a concerning along with that. And what makes it sort of a bit worse though, you got his weapon back with Jamar Chase though. Preseason is just a little bit start to have something drops along with it. And I was at the preseason game for the Bengals against Washington though. He would just basically got covered by a third round rookie corner we got, like Benjamin St. Jude right here. He just kind of owns him. And he's like the 5th overall pick. You got owned by a third round corner along with it. That is sort of not good success. You could have at least detractors like you could have Penny Sewell along with it besides Jamar Chase along with it. And what's making it work for him is had some little off-field stuff along with it, was on some kind of bit worse along with it. And also I'm gonna say I think your coach is Taylor. I don't think maybe might be the worst coach in the league like that. If it went for Allen Gaines last year, you would be behind him. Like he is not a good coach. Like he's never been a coordinator. The reason he got hired because the name association with the QB coach was Sean McVay with the Rams though. He didn't have sort of the savviness or the creativity McVay got. So if they didn't do well, I hope the Bengals fire him along with him. But before that, they had Marvin Lewis like 14 years and they couldn't fire him. Really some misses, but that's my little concern with the Bengals. I put them in 4th. 3rd, I'm going to put the Steelers. I don't think they will be a horrible team necessarily. I do think Najee would do good. I do think Pat Fireman might do good, but even with those doing good, there might be a very suspect offensive line along with it. It's just very suspect run blocking along with it. This is a major issue for the Steelers last season, though, along with it. And this is potentially, they're trying to go all in for Ben Roethlisberger. By all accounts, maybe his final year. Along with that, if my little concern that rarely QBs could go out with a bang like that, and I don't see that scenario with the Steelers along with it. So they didn't dress all in the first 2 rounds along with it. And the backup options, let's be honest, look at the backups, not that interesting. And if Ben gets hurt again, the Steelers might get a little stumble block. I don't think they get up very well, though. The defense will still be good, though. DJ Watt's still there. Remember could still be there. You lost Bud Dupree, but I think you still be solid on defense. It's your offensive maybe a big question mark, and I don't think we'll make the playoffs. And I think they will finish like 8 and 9. Because I know it's a bit heresy because Tomlin never had a losing season. Like, go look at majority of his record, though. That's fantastic. All that years, though. It might be maybe a little bit more crack on that. You still won't make 8 wins, but you might get one of the first notches in there. And I think that might be for the best for the Steelers. If they didn't do that well, you need to get a QB in the future to have long-term success, though. Getting at the old fame of it with Ben, I don't think it's going to do well. Go look at the last few years with Eli, though, and the Giants, though. They're trying to come that feelings, but it rarely kind of works out that well. So that's where we're going to put the Steelers third. 2, I'm going to put the Ravens. Still think it's a good team. I still think Lamar will do very good, though. And basically, I think there will be a very competitive games along with it. I still think there will be a good team. I don't see them as more of a division-winning team at this moment. And the number 1 for winning the AFC North, I can't believe I'm saying this, is the Cleveland Browns. Can't imagine saying that like 15 years ago. And Cleveland's loaded. Load they haven't done in a very long time. If you're a Browns fan, you're listening to this, congratulations. You might have a Super Bowl team in your grasp. And basically, I could see them can basically go into the AFC Championship more than expected, though. I expect Baker Mayfield to do excellently. And basically, might dominate right here, have more fall. He might have a second year with more of a consistent offenses than he does the last few years. And also, regardless of feel about OBJ in general, I still think with him in the offense, it'll still be very good, though. Even more time of knowing the offense very well. I still think very explosive. You have a very good running game with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. And you have a really improved on defense with Troy Hill and John Johnson. And you draft very well with Greg Newsome Jr. and JLK. And I think this team can have an opportunity. Might be not only winning the AFC North, but maybe one of the best teams in the NFL.
Alrighty, and then I'll go to some comments before I give my list. Diehard says AFC North is going to be fun to watch. I absolutely agree. And he thinks the Steelers or the Ravens should go after Cam Newton. I kind of like that for him, for both teams, because with the Steelers, it's a great organization. It would be a great place for him to just go. He would back up for a year or two, and then maybe he'd start after Ben retires. And then with the Ravens, they really don't have a good backup quarterback. So I think Cam Newton going there, he would fill in as a good backup, and I think he can do some fun things there. And he says, you remember how the Vikings would play Percy Harvin? I wonder if the Ravens would do that with Cam. I know he's not a receiver, but he could run the ball. I mean, maybe they could do some weird stuff with him at the receiver position. Maybe do some, like some plays where you have the receiver run the ball. Maybe do some short passes. That would be interesting to see. But no, I think both those teams would be a good spot for him. But I'll give my list real quick. At number 4, I got the Bengals. I think the Bengals are going to be better than what they were last year. Hopefully, Joe Burrow can stay healthy and not get hurt at all. That'd be nice to see. But I think they'll be better. Jamar Chase, he had 4 drops out of the 5 targets. But to be fair, he was, opting out, or he opted out of his last year in LSU. So it's really the first time we saw him in a game during the preseason since that year that LSU won the national championship. So I kind of forgive him for that. It's going to take him a little bit probably to get used to just playing in the game again. But I think eventually he'll, become the receiver we think that he will be. And I think he'll do some good things there. But I agree. I think they have one of the worst coaches in the NFL. I think he's gone after this year, and they're going to find maybe a Bieniemy, a Eberflus, somebody, somebody out there, and like a really good coordinator that can step in and become a good coach. I think that's going to happen at some point next year or maybe the year after. But I got them at 4. Number 3, this is where I think a lot of people are going to disagree with me. I got the Ravens. I don't think the Ravens. I think losing J.K. Dobbins is big. That's going to be big. I think Gus is a good running back. Gus the Bus. I think he's good. But the Ravens are my 3rd. I don't trust Lamar like I do with Big Ben and like I do with Baker. I think Baker really showed me, even though we didn't have OBJ, I think he came out and showed me that he can be a really good quarterback in the league. The receivers improved, but the receiving core I'm not the biggest fan of. Their defense is really good, and Lamar is Lamar. I mean, he's really good too, but look, they barely won that division last year. The Steelers won the division. They barely beat out the Browns for that 2nd spot. Like they almost didn't even make the playoffs last year. So I think they're better. I think Justin Houston is a good addition for that defense. I think the division is very difficult, and it's going to be one of those weird years. The Ravens will be 3rd. I think they're going to play similar to last year, 10-6, 10-7, maybe 9-8, maybe 11-6 at the highest. I got to see more from the receivers before I put them at number 2 or number 1. Number 2, I'm going to go Pittsburgh. Really good defense. Big Ben is, he played better last year than in previous years. Yeah, they lost some of the offensive line, but I think he'll be fine. They got some great weapons there with Johnson, Juju, Chase Claypool, Najee Harris is there. Great coach. One of the best defenses in the NFL. I got them at number 2. And then number 1, I got the Brownies. I think Baker Mayfield has finally figured it out. He had kind of a weird sophomore slump. Then he came back after a slow start last year, played better. OBJ is going to have to work out. If OBJ works out, that's a really dangerous team. But if he doesn't work out this year, they're going to have to get rid of him because Baker played better without him. But if they can figure something out, that can be a super dangerous offense. So I got the Browns at number 1. Jacob, I know you disagreed with me on one of the positions I had a team in. What's your list?
Fun fact, Matt, our list is almost exactly the same. Joe Burrow, the reason he tore his ACL is because he had no protection. And guess what the Bengals did this offseason? Nothing as far as giving him protection. The Bengals are going to be 4th in this division. because of course they are.
Yeah.
It's the Bengals. What do you expect? I'm with you with the Ravens. Losing J.K. Dobbins was huge. Losing Mark Ingram was also really huge when they didn't re-sign him. But they thought, hey, J.K. Dobbins can definitely be the lead rusher on this team. He might in a couple years, but not this year. And I drafted him like in the third round on one of my teams, so I hate myself. Gus is a good backup, but I don't think he's going to be able to perform like J.K. did last year. I do think they're going to be close in the playoff race because I do like where they were able to get some receivers for Lamar Jackson. And Lamar Jackson is a fantastic quarterback too. I do think the Browns are going to go second this year. They do have a great team all around, offense and defense. I think Odell he hasn't worked since he's been on the team. Let's be honest. They've had him for 3 years now. Mm-hmm. He has always been a drama maker, and has never really been that number one receiver that he was with the Giants, and that anyone's really expected him to be with the Browns. They do have the two best running backs. They have the best running back duo in the NFL right now, which is great when you're in the lead and you're just needing to kill time. I do kind of think that they're going to be in some shootouts. They're going to need to be able to score quickly, and they're not going to be able to do it. But it's not going to have a lot of those issues. So I do see them being second in the division. I do think that the Steelers are going to win the division this year. I had this conversation with a friend. He said, this is Big Ben's last year. And I'm like, dude, we've heard this the last 5 years. We've heard the exact same thing with Tom Brady. He has continued. Yes, 2 years ago, he threw out his shoulder. Mm-hmm. But instead of retiring then, he came back, and last year he was phenomenal. Yes, that team had a lot of injuries towards the end of the year, and that's why they weren't able to finish as great as they started. They did lose some offensive line that they didn't fully address, so their offensive line is not going to be as good as it has been. They picked up Najee Harris, fantastic replacement for James Conner, and they did lose Bud Dupree, who was their number one person on defense, which really was a huge shot to the defense. They drafted some okay people, but no Bud Dupree. I'm surprised no one's talking about this. They signed Melvin Ingram like 2-3 months ago, who was destroying defenses for the Chargers.
Yeah,
like they replaced Bud Dupree pretty easily. I do think that the Steelers are gonna win this division again.
Okay. Now I'll go to some of the comments real quick. Diehard agreed with one of us and said, good point. Said Steelers have one of the best coaches in the NFL, so they always are on the top of the division. And he says Bengals quarterback bust. No, I don't think Burrow's a bust. I just think it's the offensive line. That's the problem. It's the offensive line. But they got him some weapons. They drafted somebody in the second round. We all were, shocked they didn't take Penei Sewell, but turns out Penei Sewell's not doing great in Detroit either. He kind of got destroyed by Kemoko Turay in that last preseason game they played against the Colts. He says it feels like the Ravens don't need to be running back heavy because their quarterback is a running back. Very true. He's pretty much like that. And then who has the bigger year this year, Brady or Rodgers? I'll go Brady. I think now that he's been in the system, I'll go Brady. What about you guys? And then I'll get into the South.
I'd go Brady as well. He's on the better team.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say, you don't know if Rodgers' heart is in it at the moment. He signed that one year deal with the Packers, so he's gonna have a good year because he's pretty much telling the Packers to go screw themselves, and is wanting to show other teams that he can still ball. But I do think Brady will have the better year.
Okay, and then what about you, Jonathan?
I think Brady has a way better coaching staff than Rodgers had in Green Bay, though. Plus, with Rodgers, though, this is sort of pretty much. I kind of forgot to mention this about the NFC North, though. This is legit the Packers' arguably their last chance, not only with Rodgers, but some of the current core, like Monty Adams, contemplating maybe leaving after the next season. There are some players that signed they went into the deal along with it. So this is maybe really Super Bowl busting for the Packers, though. If they fail again, they got to blow themselves up, basically.
Yeah, that is true. And then he says, "You're right. Tampa Bay is loaded with receivers. Very true. But now we're going to go to the best division. Well, there's a team in here that's the best team in the NFL, but we're going to go to the AFC South now. I'll go first on this one. Number 4, Houston. They could be the worst team in the league. They very much could be. I like Tyrod Taylor. I think Tyrod's a pretty solid quarterback, so maybe that will be enough to bump him to 3. But the team still defensively is not great. They don't really have a whole lot of weapons at the receiver side of things. They're just not great. Pretty much anywhere. Tyrod Taylor, I think, is super underrated. So I think he'll do fine, but the team is just not going to do great. And then they also have that kid from Stanford they drafted a quarterback. I guess they want to see what they got with him. At number 3, I'm going to go Jacksonville. They're going to be improved. Trevor Lawrence is going to play well. I don't think he's going to play great, but I think he'll play pretty well this year. Losing ETN's not, something they want to see. James Robinson is going to go in there, and I think he's going to have another good year. Their defense, I think, is improved. Their offense has improved. I don't think they're a playoff team yet, but I think they're building to become a playoff team. So I got them at number 3. Number 2, I got Tennessee. Yeah, they added Julio Jones. Their defense, I'm still not sold on. I know they got Bud Dupree, and that's a pretty good addition. We'll see if he can bounce back and play similar to what he did the year prior. That injury he had, it's not something that you want to have. It's not easy to bounce back from, so we'll see if he can do that. Caleb Farley is one of my picks for a potential sleeper defensive rookie of the year. Can he stay healthy? And if he can he play as well as he did when he was in college? Because he was the best corner in college, for sure. I know a lot of people said Surtain is probably the best, or, have JC Horn. I don't think so. I think it absolutely was Caleb Farley. So he's going to be really good. I think Ryan Tannehill is a good quarterback. I know a lot of people give him crap because they have Derrick Henry on the team. But I think you get rid of Derrick Henry, he still does well. I don't think he plays great, but I think he does well. A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, obviously, those are going to be monsters and a problem to deal with. And then Derrick Henry, I don't see him taking a step down this year. Eventually, it's going to happen. It's going to happen, but I don't think it's going to be this year. And then number 1 is Indy. They got the defense. They got the offensive line. They got the offense in general. They might have the best run game in the entire NFL. When we're talking running back 1 through 4 or 1 through 3, depending on how many running backs you have in your team, they have the best, I think. It's the deepest. Carson Wentz, if he can play similar to what he did in 2017, this is a very, very dangerous team. They got receivers this year that are very talented. This is the first time where they've actually had a good group of receivers in a while. You have T.Y. when he comes back from his injury. I don't think it's season ending. I think it's going to be a little while, though. You have Zach Pascal, who's super reliable. You have Michael Pittman Jr., who's going to have to take that next step to become a number 1 receiver, but he looks like he can become that. Paris Campbell, if he stays healthy, is one of the most explosive receivers in the NFL. Dude's super fast. He's great when it comes to footwork. He can catch the ball pretty much anywhere. You have Michael Strawn, who in the red zone is going to be a threat. And then you have Desmond Patman, who looks great. They might have a top 10 receiving core. Because I know you asked that, where do we think the receiver group for the Colts ranks in the NFL? I think it could potentially be a top 10, especially with T.Y. there. And then you got the tight ends. Jack Doyle. He was hurt last year, still was good. He's a good tight end. Mo Alley Cox. I think he's going to have a huge year this year. And then you also have Kylan Granson, who they drafted. If he gets those drops under control, which, look, he was catching rockets from Eason. He throws a hard ball. It's very difficult to catch those footballs. If he fixes that, this is a very dangerous team. I got them at number 1. watch out for them. And then obviously Jonathan Taylor. I mean, yeah, once again, running backs, Jonathan Taylor's a beast. Now I'll go to Jacob. Who do you have in the AFC South at this moment?
Matt, our list for the AFC North, there was one difference. This is the exact same. The Houston Texans, they do have talent on there, and it's a big question: is Deshaun going to play? But just hearing the offseason that they've had, that organization is a complete dumpster fire right now. So I don't really think most of the players have the heart to play up to the potential that they can. I do think this team is going to be one of the worst in the NFL. And if Deshaun doesn't play, they'll definitely be one of the worst in the NFL. Jacksonville is definitely going to have a better season than last year because it's hard to have a worse season than 1-15. Trevor Lawrence, I did watch him all 4 years in college. Dude can play. I do think losing ETN is going to hurt them a little bit. I was never a huge fan of James Robinson, but then they've also have really added a lot of wide receiver depth to that roster, and then they had a decent draft as far as defense goes too. So I think they'll be kind of mid. Maybe have a winning record, or be right there like 8-9. I do see Tennessee. I see Tennessee and Indianapolis going to like the last 2-3 weeks. Whoever wins the division, which I think is going to be the Colts, is going to be the number 2 or 3 seed. Tennessee is definitely going to be the number 5 seed. Or if we're wrong, it's going to be the winner is a high seed. The second place is going to be the number 1 wild card. Tennessee, they lost some on that defense. They did have a pretty good draft to kind of rebuild that. But then also, with picking up Julio, it's great and all. I still don't trust Ryan Tannehill. I don't. I probably never will. I'm not going to lie. He'll always be the trash from the Dolphins in my book. And then I do think the Colts are going to win the division. Another great running back class. Not as good as Cleveland, but right there with Jonathan Taylor, Marlon Mack, and Nyheim Hines. That you can put any of the three as the starter for the game, and he can play. And, of course, Carson Wentz. I love Carson Wentz. I do hope that he does have success.
Definitely. Hey, don't sleep on Jordan Wilkins, too. Guy averages 6 yards a carry. It's insane. And he's the number 4 guy on the team. So he's good. He's really good. But now we're going to go to Jonathan. Do you agree with me and Jacob? Or do you disagree? Because I know one person in our group chat disagrees.
Well, sadly for me, I actually kind of agree with him. Although I'll just get all 3 of us, we can unanimously agree, and the one person also in our group chat is agreeing, and with this dysfunctional organization currently, the Houston Texans, they'll be a borderline dumpster fire. Even they were already a borderline dumpster fire before all the Deshaun Watson stuff to begin with. So even with that, they're all legit. Might be one of the worst teams in the league. Potentially might be one of the worst teams. Might get 1 or 2 wins at minimum. They're going to be horrible. Let's be honest. They're going to be horrible. And basically, might want to try to blow it up and start a legit full-on rebuild mode. And another question for the organization is, why is Jack Easterby still there? Like, let's be honest. Like, we all read that shit about him along with it. It's really surprising how the hell he got up there in the first place. Just look up on him. I'm just going to tell you that right now. And basically, there will be the worst team in the league. They're a borderline dumpster fire, and basically they've screwed themselves the last couple of years. And number 3 is going to be the Jaguars. They're approved for their 1-15 record, but I still see them as like a 4 or 5 win team because there are going to be a lot of instances. There can be some bumps there with Urban Meyer. Still learning how sort of the game works. One with them in the NFL level to the college pros, and losing NTN can be a little bit harder. But I was also kind of questioning why they were sort of drafting a running back, though, even though James Robinson had a very good year. I do understand want to make your QB happy, though. But also, might want to try to get maybe help on defense or maybe O-line, I guess, just in case a scenario happens. Look what happened to Joe Burrow last season, though. I'm not going to sort of make a jinx or anything, but Trevor would do good. Let's just hope his O-line will hold up along with them. Just going to leave you with that. Number 2, I was going to put the Colts on there. I'll be honest with you. You still be a good team. I'll be more honest with that because your injuries are starting to get very concerning, and I'll be more honest with that. And the last question, Nelson, or someone near in the IR. I'm not going to. Excuse me.
He's back. Nelson's back. He's been back for a while.
He's back though. Well, it depends on the other half of the roster, though. So that's the part right there. I don't think your team's gonna be still on the wildcard team, though, and I don't think we'll win the division, though. It depends how stays at Carson Wentz is, even though he's back though. And I'm gonna go with the Titans. Still, they still have Derrick Henry. They still have AJ Brown. They still have Brian Tannehill. And I want to comment on he was always trash, though. Let's be honest. Adam Gase nearly ruined him in his time in Miami, though. So let's be honest.
He was in Miami before Adam Gase.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But still, though. And either way, I still think they still have a good team regardless, though. And I could see them winning the division, though, and with the Titans, though. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, but to kind of talk about the IR thing, we only have like 2 guys that are going to be on there.
I know.
And
But
it's Ellinger because, he sprained his ACL. And the good thing with the IR is you're only out for 3 weeks and then you can come back. So him and TY will be on there. TY can come back after week 3. I'm assuming they haven't said TY's on there, but I'm just going to assume Eric Fisher will be back soon because he was on the PUP list. But no, I mean, we got everybody back though. Like everybody's back. It's like, yeah, we have a couple on COVID list, but it's nothing to sneeze at. We'll be fine. Hey, look, our first 2 weeks we're playing against NFC teams, so if we lose those games, they're not as important as losing to 2 AFC teams in the first 2 weeks. So, it'll be fine. We'll win. Dyer says the Titans had their chance last year. It's ours now. Said he thinks the Colts are going to win because they have one of the best GMs in the NFL, thanks to the 49ers, and thanks for Buckner, or thanks to them for Buckner. He's been good to us. Very true. It's a great first-round pick that we have. That was a great first-round pick last year to get Buckner. But now we're going to move on to the AFC. We're going to go to AFC East. Obviously, some change-up happened. We now know who the starting quarterbacks for all the teams are going to be. New England, of course, saying Mac Jones is the guy. I'm going to go to Jacob real quick. We're going to try to wrap this up in, say, 15 minutes, because I do have to get ready for work. So, Jacob, I'll go to you first. How do you see the AFC East stacking up?
The Jets are the Jets, fourth. As far as third goes, I'm thinking New England's gonna be back at third in the division. I don't know how good Mac Jones is going to be. They've lost a lot of talent that they've had on the roster when they were consistently the best team in the NFL. I trust Bill Belichick with my life, though, so he could definitely have them go undefeated this year. You never know with them, but I don't see them being that good like they were last year. I do think Miami is going to be second. I do think it's going to be close between Miami and New England. It's weird how Tua was horrible last year, and then they kept starting him, but then they would put in Fitzpatrick second half of the game, and then they won. But it's like, no, we're trusting Tua. I do think this is Tua's make it year. There are some little voices in the back of their front office like, hey, he wasn't doing anything last year, and we were still a good team. But then Buffalo, I think they're gonna win it again this year.
Okay. Now we're gonna go to Jonathan. Jonathan, how do you see the East stacking up?
Same thing as Jacob. Fourth is the Jets. You got the Jets. But although I will say this for the Jets, I do like their new coach with Robert Saleh, though. I do like their new coaching staff along with it. And I actually do like Zach Wilson there, fitting there. Fun fact, one of the OCs of the Jets is brother of Matt LaFleur. Fun fact, by the way. Because his brother is doing the OC. So basically, kind of knows it's sort of that same offensive scheme, mainly the Shanahan scheme with that offense. So they will be way better than they were last year. They're a part of the rebuilding process. I do trust Saleh here to make more discipline for this team along with it than Adam Gates. And I do think from his defensive background from San Francisco, I think their defense will be significantly better. But third, I'm going to pick the Patriots slightly there because they're a fringe wildcard team at best, I'll be honest. The AFC can be they're really top heavy this year, and I could see them close, but not close enough. They'll still be very competitive and sort of a grasp along with it. Second, I'm going to go with the Dolphins because Tua, I see some very great progression of him with Tua in this preseason, though. He did really get bigger, better, swings the ball a little bit more better, more cleanly, and a little bit help with Jalen Wall along with it, which I do find fun because week one is not only the Patriots, but it's going to be the battle of the Alabama quarterbacks. Fun fact. And for week one, though, for the Dolphins and Patriots. So it's going to be very interesting there. And I do trust Brian Flores' sort of culture he set up and more process along with it. So I can see them will do better from last year, though. They came very close to the playoffs, so I think they will do better from there. And one, where is obviously is Buffalo. They're my personal favorite to go to the Super Bowl along with it. I can see they could do better and better from there. So that's it, personally.
Okay. For me, I'll fly through this real quick. I'm gonna go Jets at 4 because they're the Jets. I do agree. I like Saleh as a coach. I think he's going to do better than Adam Gase, but anybody can. I could do better than Adam Gase as a head coach. You could do better, Jacob and Jonathan, as the head coach than Adam Gase. But I like Saleh. I just don't think they're ready yet. I do think they added to the team and made the team better. They wouldn't do with Sam Darnold for whatever reason, but they will do it with Zach Wilson. So I have them as my number 4. Number 3, I'm going to go with the Patriots because I feel like with New England, their defense is going to be better. They're going to have a good defense. I just don't know about Mac Jones. That's the big question mark. Can Mac Jones deliver? I'm not sure if he can. So I'm going them at 3, but they could be number 2 if he does deliver. Number 2, I'm going to go Dolphins as well. I feel like the Dolphins have improved somewhat, like with the receiving core. I like their defense. I like the team all around, and I like Brian Flores. I really like him as a coach. I think he's a great coach for them. So I will go with them at number 2. And then number 1, I will go Buffalo. Not shocking at all. I look, Josh Allen looks really good this year. I think they're going to be one of the best AFC teams once again. They'll probably finish second in the AFC. But yeah, I have them at number 1. I'm going to go to some comments super fast. Now I'll go with this first. I should have brought this up. Colts want. Oh wait, yeah, I did. Never mind. Boop. Yeah, because I see the GM comment, and the Titans comment. So 10 Ground Zero stopped by saying, "What's up, man? New to your channel and kind of a new sub. I appreciate the support. Glad to have you here. I hope you enjoyed the content." I heard laughed at you saying Jets are the Jets. Facts. Very true. Bills. I don't know why I said Dolphins. Bills are looking like the strong favorite. Absolutely. Said he enjoyed the stream. And thanks, guys. Have a good rest of your day. And can't wait for week 1. Thank you for stopping by. And yeah, I can't wait for week 1 either. And then he also says, real quick, Patriots number 4, just out of pure hate. I definitely can understand that. But that is how I'm going to have it. Now we're going to go to the AFC West. So I'm going to go to Jonathan first. Who do you have in the AFC West?
Okay. For the Broncos, super basic fact, I have no idea what this team is going to be. So it's sort of like that. Number 3 is the Raiders because I want them to be a good team or horrible team in the same time, though. Like, one day they're good, second they don't. Sort of like a yin-yang for me. Like, it just didn't know what type of team it was going to be. And I'm going to put my number 2, that's the Chargers. It would be way significant better. I expect Justin Herbert to be better. With the new OC with Joe Lombardi along with it, from Joe Lombardi, they went with Drew Brees. And I can see, I'm a big fan of the coach they hired with Brandon Staley from their defensive coordinator from the Rams, pairing him with Joey Bosa and Derwin James along with that defense, fully healthy. I think it might be one of the better defense in the league if they all things correlated. And I could see them sneaking a wild card spot. The record 7-9 this year. They're basically a total team. They're stuck in 7-9. They could have won those games very easily though. So I expect them to do better. And number 1, it's pretty obvious. Let's be honest. It's the Chiefs, and because they're the Chiefs.
Okay. So for me, number 4, I'm going to go Raiders. I like what the Raiders have. I think they actually got worse with the offensive line, which they had a good offensive line last year. This year, they lost pretty much everybody that was on their offensive line. That was good. So I think their defense is pretty solid. I like Jacobs as a running back. I'm pretty high on Derek Carr. He's not like my favorite quarterback, but I think he's very, very underrated. I do like Derek Carr quite a bit. And I think they got solid receivers too. So I'll go them at number 4. I'm actually going to go Chargers at 3. I think the Chargers are going to be much improved, but I don't think enough to where they can get into the conversation of potentially winning that division. I obviously love Justin Herbert. I think he's going to have a big year. Keenan Allen's going to have a big year as well. I think they're primed, but they got a new coach. So I think it's going to take them a little bit of time before they can, take that next step. And then I got the Broncos at number 2. They have a really good defense. They have a really good offense too. If Sutton stays healthy and Jerry Jeudy stays healthy, they got a really good receiving core. Their run game is pretty good. And I think Teddy Bridgewater is going to come in and have a good year too. That team is like a quarterback away from really making some noise in the playoffs. So I got them at number 2. I think they're going to make the playoffs, and I think they're going to be one of those, maybe like the Titans that year where they barely made the playoffs and they were able to get to the AFC Championship game. I don't think they're going to go to the AFC Championship, but I think they might be one of those surprise teams. So I got them at number 2, and then at number 1, I got Kansas City. I got to see them, fall, from grace before I believe they're going to fall from grace. Patrick Mahomes, he's still really young and it's still the best quarterback in the NFL. Their defense is pretty good. Their receivers are great. Their weapons are great. They're great at coaching. They just have a really great team all around. If their offensive line can stay healthy, this is a team that might be able to compete for another Super Bowl. So I'm going to go Kansas City, number 1. I'm going to go to you, John. I almost said Jonathan again. Papa, I'm going to go to you, Jacob. Who do you have in the AFC West?
Yeah, you better give me a chance to talk about this division. I think this is low-key going to be one of the more exciting divisions to watch. Very similar to the AFC North. I do think that the Raiders are going to be last. They've always had a great offensive line, and then they got rid of a lot of their offensive line this year. Do have some question marks on defense that wasn't addressed. I do agree with you. Derek Carr is a very underrated quarterback. Josh Jacobs, great running back. They do have some speedy wide receivers, but I was really hoping that they would have like a better like red zone option or a big receiver that, hey, you throw it contested, he'll catch it 90% of the time, which they don't really have yet. So I do think that they will be last in the division. Next, I do have the Chargers. I do enjoy watching Justin Herbert play. I think he will have a better year this year. But they did lose Melvin Ingram, so they lost a big key in their defense that is going to get picked apart. So he'll be in a lot of shootouts. I don't think that they have the defense to stop. And then I do think Denver will be second. Their defense is going to be much improved because Von Miller's playing again, unlike last year. Teddy Bridgewater is a better quarterback, in my opinion, than Drew Lock. And then Cortland Sutton. I don't think he played last year because he got hurt. He'll be back. Yep. And then having Jerry Jeudy. And then I do think that the Kansas City Chiefs will win this year. In fact, the biggest reason that they didn't win the Super Bowl this year was because their offensive line was horrible. Well, when you lose, when Eric Fisher gets injured, and then both their tackles got injured right before the 2 weeks before the Super Bowl. That doesn't help. No. They picked up Kyle Long, Orlando Brown Jr. Like they've built up that defense or that offensive line. And then they're also going to get Darrell Williams back. He opted out last year due to COVID. He's coming back. He was a great running back. And so they are getting a lot of weapons either back or getting some new ones that's going to make them really scary.
All righty. That is true. So I'm going to go to some of the comments real quick. Then we're going to give our Super Bowl predictions since week 1 is next week. And then we're going to call it a day. 10 Ground Zero says he has a love-hate relationship with Josh Allen. I love me, Josh Allen. I do. There's some things I may disagree with him on, but I like the guy. I think he's a great quarterback. Raiders was one of the hardest teams to bet on last year. Absolutely. That was a difficult team to bet on. They lost me some money, but they also did good things, and he agrees. 1 through 4 Chiefs and Broncos are going to be 1 and 2, so he agrees with our 1 and 4. And then 10 Ground Zero says KC honestly had a chance last year, but you're right, Jacob. The offensive line needs work, and yeah, they definitely did. But as long as they stay healthy, they definitely achieved what they needed to accomplish in the offseason. So I'm going to go around the table. I'll start it off with Super Bowl predictions. So I'm going to say it's going to be the Green Bay Packers coming out of the NFC. It's the last dance type of year for them. Devontae Adams is gone after this year. Aaron Rodgers is going to be gone after this year. They're going to win the Super – or they're not – why did I say that? They're not going to win the Super Bowl. They're going to go to the Super Bowl. They're going to get to the Super Bowl this year. They're going to finally do it after 2 years of losing an NFC championship game. They're primed to do it. I think they're going to definitely do it because Rodgers has something to prove. And I have them facing off against the Indianapolis Colts, and let me explain why. They were like one of 2 teams that had a top 10 offense and a top 10 defense last year. Their defense was number 2 in rush defense. They had a top, I think number 7 or number 8 best passing offense or passing defense in the entire NFL. That improves this year, I think, for sure. And I think they're going to add some things to that the defensive backs. So they're improved on the defensive line where they needed to improve with Kwity Paye. And when Dayo Dengbo comes back, he's a first-round talent that got picked up in the second round just because he played at Vanderbilt. But he's a monster. He is the size of DeForest Buckner. He's super fast. He's just the way he's built is so it's different. But he's going to be a monster. I don't know if he's coming this year, but when he comes in, he's going to be an absolute beast. That defensive line is incredible. Their linebackers are going to be great this year. Darius Leonard, Bobby Okereke, Zaire Franklin. Great, linebackers. Safeties, 2 of the best safeties in the NFL with Blackman and Willis. They're great. The only question is, can Rocky Sin step up? If he can step up, or whoever's going to play at that position, that's going to be a really good team to watch out. And then their offense. Jonathan Taylor, Marlon Mack, Nyheim Hines, Jordan Wilkins as your running backs. Dominant. The best offensive line in the NFL if Eric Fisher can come back healthy and play similar to what he did in Kansas City the last few years. They'll have the best offensive line. The receivers, very underrated. Michael Pittman's going to have a big year. Paris Campbell's going to have a big year. Their tight ends are great. And last year, they were top 10 in offense, and they had a quarterback that would not run. They had a quarterback that stays in the pocket most of the time. He had to run once or twice, but now you're adding Carson Wentz to the mix, which I think fits the offense better than Phillip Rivers does. This is a team that I think if they can stay healthy, because that's the thing. Because health is obviously going to affect every team in the NFL. If they stay healthy, as far as like the important players go, And if Carson Wentz works in Indy, that team has the chance to be the best team in AFC. They really do. You don't need Carson Wentz to play 2017 good. You can have him play like he did in 2019. Because he was still good in 2019. He had his best year statistically in 2019. So they have everything you need. They have a great coach, great GM, great staff in general. This is a really good team. So I think they get to because I can't see Kansas City going to 3 Super Bowls in a row. I just can't see it. It's super difficult for a team to go to the Super Bowl for more than 2 years in a row. So I got Colts, Packers in the Super Bowl, and I'll just say I got Colts winning the Super Bowl because they beat the Packers last year, and Colts got better, Packers got better too, but yeah. So I'll go to Jacob next. Who do you have in the Super Bowl?
I am just going to pick a random team out of the NFC and a random team out of the AFC. No, I'm not. I am going to go with Seattle.
Ooh.
I know, it's crazy. I think Russell will be able to cook finally. Jamal Adams will be a top-notch safety, especially in the playoffs like he hasn't done before. And then I really want to see the Buffalo Bills go to the Super Bowl also. I do love Josh Allen. I am in Wyoming at the moment, so I watched him in college. He has a special place in my heart. And really their biggest issues that they were having, they didn't have a good pass rush that they did work on. So I think they are one of 2 teams that can beat Kansas City. I see them being the number 2 in the AFC, and I actually don't think they'll have to take on Kansas City in the AFC Championship, but we'll focus on that later. So I think Buffalo and Seattle will be a very entertaining Super Bowl, and then Seattle will just ride the momentum of Jamal Adams being super awesome and win it all.
Okay. So now we're going to go to Jonathan. What are you thinking for a Super Bowl prediction?
I have 2 Super Bowl options in mind. I have one NFC team, so one NFC team I could think seeing the Super Bowl is the LA Rams. That's right, they're going to host their own field in the Super Bowl. I had 2 AFC teams in mind. Both of them have very similar circumstances. They both, if you asked me about these teams 5 years ago, they were not only playoff teams or Super Bowl contenders, they will laugh you out of the building. I'm going to go, since Jacob put Buffalo in there, I'm going to put another AFC team. My winner Super Bowl prediction is to be the LA Rams versus the Cleveland Browns. That's right. Going to break the curse. Cleveland Browns going to break the curse on Super Sunday against the LA Rams. SoFi Stadium. And I think they'll break the curse. We've seen some great curses happen. Like, basically, the Cubs eventually won the World Series 2016. We see first speak on Cleveland Cavaliers finally won a championship. We've seen like his Jacobs Philadelphia Eagles. Took a long time to finally win an NFL championship for a long history. And Cleveland needs a championship because that last night they won it. It was the pre-Super Bowl era in 1964. So this team not only will do better, but might surprise some people like we're not only going to go in the Super Bowl, we're going to shock the world, shut down the Rams. Shut down the Rams, and it kind of shows the people around America that we're legit. And we're no longer the Browns of the Browns. We are the Browns. We are the world champion Cleveland Browns. So my weird Super Bowl prediction is the Browns versus the Rams. And
okay. Awesome. Alrighty, so I think that's going to do it for today. We went a little over, but that's okay. Jacob had to hop off, so he will be back next week potentially. So thank you all for coming or joining us. Whether you watched live or you watched after the stream ended, I do appreciate all of you guys joining and watching the show and just giving your feedback, commenting, all that good stuff. I do appreciate it. So we're going to wrap this up quick because I do have to get off because I have to go to work in a minute. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you like the stream, make sure you click the subscribe button. Also click the bell icon so that way you're notified whenever a stream pops up. And you can join us on the next one live. And whenever you see a video, you can watch it as soon as it goes live. So thank you for that. And if you like this video, smack the like button and let us know in the comments below, what do you think the divisions are going to end up being? Like, is there any picks that you agree with us on, disagree with us on? Let us know down below. Talk about Cam Newton. Talk about all the things we talked about today. I've been Matt. That's been Jonathan. That was Jacob who joined us. And we will see you guys later. I don't think I have the outro on this, so we'll add that next week. So this is the outro. So see y'all later. Have a good one, and bye-bye.